for the weekend?
The team to start against Scotland this Sunday is Ken Healy, Rory Best captain, Tyg Furlong, Ian Henderson, James Ryan, Peter O'Mahony, Josh van der Fleer and CJ Stander. And in the backs it's Conor Murray, Jonathan Sexton, Jacob Stockdale, Bundy Aki and Gary Ringrose in the midfield, with Andrew Conway on the right wing and Jordan Larmour at fullback. The replacements are Niall Scannell, Dave Kilcoyne, Andrew Porter, Tyg Byrne, Jack Conan, and the backs are Luke McGrath, Jack Carty and Chris Farrell.
Joe, I'll just get your thoughts on the selection. I mean, with the players injured in the backs particularly, was it the case of the team kind of picking itself?
Not really. You'll see Joey will run fully in the warm-up just as a reserve back. He's trained really well this week. I think Keith Earls was the sharpest player at training on Wednesday. Certainly hit the best time, was very, very sharp. So, he's good. Rob Kearney trained well as well. So it was really just that we were getting very tight for time, and the best continuity we felt was to have the guys who trained through the time that we've been here. So that's what we went with, and it's exciting to have the back three that we've got as well. It's a great opportunity and a fantastic challenge for them.
For Jordan and Andrew, what can they bring to Ireland, and was there any question mark in your mind of who played fullback and who played on the wing?
Not really, no. I think that their enthusiasm is something that's contagious. I think their ability to get themselves into the game. I think Andrew has proven he's got real aerial ability, and that will be really useful for us. I still have the vision in my mind clearly of Jordan Larmour beating Israel Folau to a ball in the third test in Sydney on our Australian tour in the middle of last year. So he's very good there as well, and Jacob of course is a big man in the backfield. So there's that. They're all feeding off each other. They're all young men who are very, very keen to impress. So really, I guess they've now got that opportunity.
Joe, there seems to be word going around that if the day rains, it might suit Ireland better than Scotland. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess you just have to adapt to the conditions. I'm pretty sure that they will adapt as well. If Greg Laidlaw's at scrum half, he's a very proficient kicker. He's a very effective goal kicker as well. And I think when it does rain, points become just that little bit more valuable because they're harder to get, because it's harder to sustain a continuity of play. Therefore, Greg Laidlaw could be very useful for them. And we know Finn Russell has a huge variety of kicking game. So he will be a threat, and there's the length of Stuart Hogg's kicking game. He's got a very long kicking game. So I think in the end, when you match that up with us, with the likes of Conor Murray and Jonathan Sexton, I don't think there's too much between the teams, wet or dry.
Rory, in terms of humidity and the conditions, how do you think that'll affect things in terms physically and even in ball handling and throwing?
I think, like Joe said, we have to adapt. We've been here for a good few days now. We've trained in some rain, we've trained in a bit of heat. We've got used to it. We've trained with various bits and pieces over the summer, whether it was in Portugal or at home. We've geared ourselves up. We knew what the potential conditions would be, and I think we're in a good place for that. Ultimately, I think the acid test will be Sunday. You can put whatever you want on the ball, you can put whatever you want in training, but ultimately when you get to the game and the pressures of that, it'll be about making sure that you can stay focused on what you need to do.
Joe, I don't know if you've seen the surface game the night before. How do you think it's going to stand the test?
Yeah, I haven't seen the surface since we had a look here some months ago. So whatever the surface is, we'll have to cope with. If it has been chewed up a bit by the All Blacks and the Springbok, that's a pretty big game. Some pretty big men running around. But I've no doubt one of the things that has impressed me is how quickly they can turn around a manicured surface. We trained in Yokohama there, and they'd very quickly turn it around and make sure that it was in tip-top shape each time. So, the surface was good here. The 2 games we played in Ajinomoto and in a Copa Stadium last time we were here in 2017, in the summer of 2017. So we would anticipate a very good surface, even if it is a little bit wet.
Joe, obviously you've been building to this game for a while. At the end of last year, Johnny had said after such a great year, you guys haven't peaked yet. Are you ready to peak now?
You've just got to hope so. I can't guarantee anything. In 48 hours' time, we'll have a better idea. We'll be just arriving at the stadium and getting ready to warm up, and I'll be anxious. Some of you people, you've been great supporters of ours, and you'll be anxious as well, because you never quite know. But one thing I will be really confident of is that we will be tough to beat. That in 48 hours' time, I think you'll see a very collective effort, and that effort will make us tough to beat. Now, I've no doubt that the Scots are working away and going to make sure that there's something similar. I don't think there's a huge amount between the 2 teams, and so whoever does maybe get the bounce of the ball or can be just a little bit more efficient than the other, it may just tip the balance.
And have you got a little bit still up your sleeve?
Short sleeves, not too much up my sleeves. Again, there's certainly things that you do hold back a bit. I've no doubt we'll see something from Scotland that we haven't seen before, because we've been planning this for a long time. And when you get the opportunity to put it into practice, it still has to be put into practice accurately, and one of the things that gets in the way of that is the amount of pressure the opposition can put on you, and I've no doubt that both teams will be trying to put pressure on each other so that whatever they have got planned isn't quite as effective as they'd hoped.
Joe, what was the most difficult selections for you and the coaches that you had to make?
Well, they started in the summer and they've worked their way all the way through, going from 45 to 31 and now to 15 to start and the bench. I think one of the things that made it easier in the backs was that there are backs who've trained all week, and there are backs who are now fully fit and up and running, and we just felt that for continuity's sake we would also show the amount of faith we have in the squad. And up front there were some tight decisions as well. We've been really happy with some of the guys who've come off the bench for us, and if they can continue to do what they're doing, whether a player starts or comes off the bench, they are every bit as important to us, because that in the last quarter of the match, that's if the teams are close, that's pivotal, and we need the right people coming off the bench doing the right job. So I think across the board, I think we're happy with the starting 15 and the bench, and we'd be happy to supplant some of those guys with some of the guys who aren't there, but that's what you've got to be confident of when you've got a squad of 31. You've got to be confident of all 31 of them.
We'll take the last question in this section.
Okay, Klein didn't make it obviously this week. How have you broken down how you pick your second rows, and what's the thinking? Is it because there's another big game in 6 days' time, or what's the thinking thought process?
Yeah, again, that was a relatively long discussion. I think James Ryan has come back in for these last 2 games and done really well. He's of known value to us. Ian Henderson's almost got 50 caps. That experience, he was involved in the big games in the World Cup last time. I think to have that experience is really important, particularly in the first game out. So for Jean to kind of find his way into the tournament, I've no doubt that he'll feature in some really important games for us. Coming off the bench, Ty Byrne, he has ability to change the game up a little bit, so we felt probably his versatility across the whole back five, specifically in the second row for us, because we've obviously got Jack Conan on the bench as well, but we do feel like he gets great pressure on the ball. He has a little bit more time with us than Jean has had, so we just kind of felt for continuity again, we would go with that combination.
Okay, we will switch now into the embargoed written word.